In 3, 2, 1, action.
Good evening and welcome to the Hendrick Hudson School Board of Education Candidates Forum. My name is Janine Eichenholz and I am a board member of Power Through Portland, a nonpartisan community organization and a co-sponsor along with the Hendrick Hudson Community Educational Foundation of tonight's event. This year we have 5 candidates running for 3 open trustee positions on our Board of Education. Each trustee position is for a 3-year term. The school board election will take place on Tuesday, May 17, 2022. Voting will be held in person at the Frank G. Lindsay School behind Hendrick Hudson High School at 57 Trolley Road in Montrose. Voting hours are from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Absentee ballots may be requested ahead of time. You can apply in person at the school district administration building for an absentee ballot. If you want the absentee ballot to be mailed to you, you must apply by Wednesday, May 11th. If you want to pick up a ballot in person, you can apply and do so up until Friday, May 13th. All absentee ballots must be returned to the district clerk no later than 5 p.m. on Monday, May 16th. More information on absentee ballots is available on the district website at henhudschools.org. Tonight's candidates forum is being moderated by the League of Women Voters. Our moderator tonight is Douglas French, president of the League of Women Voters of Rye, Rybrook, and Port Chester. He is the former mayor of the city of Rye and currently sits on the Westchester County Board of Ethics. Joan Vogt, my co-board member on Power Through Portland, will serve as our timekeeper. Power Through Portland received 34 questions from 13 individuals. These questions were reviewed by members of the Power Through Portland board. We included as many as we could while keeping in mind that we don't want tonight's event to stretch into the late night hours. Some questions have been combined and some were revised for clarity. We did our best to retain the original intention behind each question. If your question did not make the final list and you would like to address it to any of the candidates, you can do so using contact information that each candidate has provided. The information is available here tonight. There's a little slip of paper on the corner table. You can take one as you leave. We will also share it on the Power Through Portland Facebook group. If you're not on Facebook and you want to get it by email, you can email us at powerthroughportland@gmail.com and we will send it to you. Thank you to each of our candidates for making time tonight and being available. Thank you to everyone who submitted their questions in advance, and thank you to everybody who is here and who is watching our stream and our recording later on. Don't forget to get out and vote on May 17th.
Thank you, Janine, and good evening, everybody. My name is Douglas French. As mentioned, I'm president of the Rye, Rybrook, Port Chester League of Women Voters, former mayor of the city of Rye, so I know what it's like to be a candidate. And I currently sit on the board of ethics for Westchester County. Tonight is about a conversation with voters. The public has submitted questions on topics that they're interested in, and this is a fair playground for you to talk about your positions, your points of view, and to differentiate yourself. So I will go through the format. We'll have opening statements of 90 seconds. 2 minutes, opening statements. Then we'll do a Q&A section for 90 seconds per question, and then closing statements for 90 seconds. We will have a 30-second rebuttal period where you can rebut after everyone has answered a question. You can raise your hand to rebut. Each candidate only gets 2 rebuttals, so use them wisely and keep it on a factual, not a personal nature, your rebuttal. Thank you to the candidates for raising your hand to serve. Or continuing to serve. And with that, our timekeeper, Joan Vogt, she will signal 30 seconds when there are 30 seconds are left. Again, 2-minute opening statement, 90-second questions, 30-second rebuttals, 90-second closing statements, and then she'll hold up the stop sign. I ain't going to let you finish your thought, but use your discretion to just close your thought out when she puts up the stop sign. Thank you to the public for these questions. And we have drawn cards in order of sequence, and it'll start in the order that they're seated, opening statements, and then reverse order for closing statements. So Jeremy Basso will go first, Stephanie Hickey second, Erica Mills third, Lisa Anderson fourth, and Bill Riccio fifth. Then when we start the question and answer period, we'll start with candidate number 2, and then subsequent we'll work through that way as the question and answer. Any questions from the candidates before we get started? All right. So with that, We will start the opening statements, and the candidates had said that I can call them by their first name. So Jeremy, the floor is yours.
I would like to thank HHCEF, the League of Women Voters, and Power Through Cortland for taking the time and putting forth the effort to organize and moderate this forum. I would also like to thank my wife, Erin, my family, friends, for the support and encouragement throughout this process. My name is Jeremy Basso, and I am a sailor. A Hendrick Hudson High School graduate class of 1994, my wife, Erin, and I are thrilled for the opportunity to raise our family in the Hendrick Hudson School District. We have 2 children, Caden and Ella, a second grader and a kindergarten. I've spent many years volunteering as a coach and supporting local youth sports, not-for-profit organizations, and government agencies, adding value for the most vulnerable members of our community. Almost all of the work my family does is driven by our desire to positively impact the lives of children. I hope to utilize my approach to business, implementing a philosophy of servant leadership to help build camaraderie, thoughtful budget management, and impactful investment to care for all of our assets, student, staff, and human capital. With your support, we can reconnect the community to the district, reintroduce community engagement, and resume a welcoming environment to engage with administration as well as the Board of Education. What resource is more valuable or precious than today's children and tomorrow's leaders? I believe in demanding and rewarding success. Mediocrity occurs when excellence is not demanded. When you shoot for the stars and only hit the moon, it's not just the target, but a landing pad, which enables you to continue on your path to success. When we achieve, we create abundance, and an abundance of resources allows rising tides to raise all ships. We won't grow by doing enough. We grow through challenging ourselves and our peers to do their best. We shouldn't hold our students to a different standard than our leaders, and academic excellence requires excellent support from our teachers, district leaders, and community. We should all be challenged and held accountable to encourage growth and guide our path. I believe healthy communication is the foundation for every successful relationship, and I hope to bridge the perceived gap between the community, the board, and the district, allowing us to truly become one Henho.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie?
Before I start, I'd like to thank the HHCF, Power Through Cortland, and the League of Women's Voters, and most of all, the community members for showing up here tonight. My name is Stephanie Hickey. My husband is Brian Hickey, and I have an 11-year-old son in the school district who will be entering Blue Mountain Middle School next year. I have worked in public education for over 25 years. My role as a high school teacher and a director of adult education give me valuable insight into how school systems work. My role as a parent in this district makes me a stakeholder into where the school district is headed. As we deal with the tax implications of the closure of Indian Point, it is vital that the community member are involved and represented in planning the future for the Hendrick Hudson School District. Board of Ed members must represent the community. I believe that it is critical that the Board of Ed be composed of parents that represent each school. Someone should be from the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school. Too often, policies and changes are made in education from the top, and although they are good on paper, they end up hurting the people they were intended to help. I'm up here saying that the Board of Ed and school district need to communicate and listen better. I'm running for the Board of Ed to ensure everyone's voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Erica, opening statement, 2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Mills. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, Power Through Cortland, and the Henhouse Community Education Foundation for organizing and hosting this opportunity for us to connect with the community. I'd also like to thank the library for letting us use their space. And the school district for streaming this live for viewers at home. I'd like to share a little bit about myself and my family for those of you who do not know me. My husband Chad and I have been district residents of Hendrick Hudson for 21 years. I've lived here longer than I've ever lived anywhere in my life. So I feel like I am a sailor through and through. We purchased our first home here prior to our wedding and decided we loved the area so much, we would buy another home and raise our family here. We have 2 children. Our son is a junior at Hendrick Hudson High School, and our daughter is an 8th grader at Blue Mountain Middle School. We live in Buchanan, and I've really loved raising our kids here and getting to know so many wonderful and welcoming people. By trade, I am a business owner and a publisher of a health magazine. I have 21 years of experience with marketing, communications, team collaboration, sales, and design. It was always my dream to be able to work from home, doing what I love, as well as to be as involved as possible with my children. This has afforded me a level of flexibility to be able to commit a great deal of time to the students of Hendrick Hudson. I started as a class parent when my son was in kindergarten, a committee member of countless different committees, then became committee chair, and then on to PTA president at Frank G. Lindsay and the middle school and vice president at the high school. I have spent many years collaborating with district staff, parents, administrators to provide enriching and fun activities and programs for our students. I have also worked on advocating for students across all buildings and levels. My main goal has always been to put the kids of Hen Hud first and support what they need to do their best. Right now, there is a divide between the community and the school board. It is time to move forward with the plan to ensure that all voices are heard and properly acknowledged. I was grateful for the community forum. It was just a start. We need the community to feel welcome and engaged. We have so much to celebrate at Hen Hud, and I hope we can build a common ground to heal and grow.
Thank you. Lisa?
Good evening. I'm Lisa Anderson, and I am the mom of 5 children, 3 of whom are Hendrick Hudson High School graduates, and 2 are still in the district. I have one in the middle school and one in the high school currently. I've been an active member of the Hen Hud community for over 14 years, and before joining the board, I served in the PTAs for over 16 years. I'm finishing up my third year term as a Board of Ed trustee currently. What do I bring to the table? I bring experience, commitment, and results. As a trustee, I've been involved in the district's development of a new strategic plan, working closely with parents, community, students, staff, administrators to look deeply at who we are as a district, what we aspire to do, and how we aspire to do it, and then co-creating a path forward that will steer and shape the direction of our district for many years to come. I also bring my experience with helping to guide the reorganization of our elementary schools into the Princeton plan model. Another area of focus for me has been safety for our community with the decommissioning of the Indian Point nuclear power plant and financial planning to soften the unavoidable tax increases that result from the reduction of Indian Point's payment in lieu of taxes. I've worked with my fellow trustees to ensure our budgets have been within and under the tax cap. And we have supported enhancing and expanding the programs for all of our students. I've also given a voice to the Hendrick Hudson School District at regional and state events as a member of the Board of Directors for Westchester Putnam School Boards Association. I am the advocacy liaison for our school with Westchester Putnam School Board Association and NISBA, which is the New York State School Boards Association. And in this role, I've collaborated with other board members statewide to shape laws and get more funding for public education. I want our school district to continue to be a source of pride for our community. We have unique challenges facing us, and I believe my commitment, experience, and ability to collaborate will be an asset as we move forward, working together for all our students.
Thank you. And Bill?
Hi, I'm William Laricchio. I go by Bill Laricchio. My wife Susan and I moved to Verplank 34 years ago and now live in the same house with our 3 children, who I'm proud to say went to Hendrick Hudson School District, kindergarten through 12th grade. I own and operate a certified public accounting business serving businesses and individuals. I have 12 years of school district Board of Ed experience, 3 of those years as vice president. Have worked in the business offices of 2 different school districts, have audited school districts, and have a certificate of advanced study which permit me to work as an assistant superintendent of business in a school district. As a certified public accountant, I have guided and assisted individuals and businesses for over 30 years. I felt it was important to run for re-election to keep continuity and some long-term experience within the Board of Ed, to remember why we have made decisions and continue to carry the learned knowledge forward. 6 years ago, who would have predicted that Entergy closing and putting us in a financial crisis? Or 3 years ago, who would have predicted a worldwide pandemic? I have the school district experience, the business experience to continue to see our students, district, and community to stay on course through our current challenges and the unknown challenges we yet to face. Additionally, I have served on Hendrick Hudson committees, including finance, facilities, audit, and technology. I have represented Hendrick Hudson at regional educational advocacy districts, a group of local school districts advocating together. I have also been on the high school and SEPTA board liaison and have experience on 2 other boards, National Conference of CPA Practitioners, and more recently, our Verplank Residents Association.
Okay, thank you, candidates. That ends our opening statement portion of the forum tonight. We will now move to questions, and we'll go about an hour. If you need me to read a question, I will. We'll try to get through as many questions as we can. Each candidate gets 2 rebuttals of 30 seconds each. After everybody's answered the question, if you want to reply, raise your hand and I'll call on you. Again, keep it not on a personal nature, keep it factual. And state your own opinion, and then we're going to now go in order of the second candidate. So Stephanie, you were up first with the first question. What experiences do you have that have prepared you to become a board of ed trustee, including work within our community, and also including collaborative work that might help you in a situation where you may need to support a policy with which you personally do not agree?
I've worked in education, as I said, for over 25 years. I've been attending Board of Ed meetings this whole entire year. I have been PTA secretary, I'm Cub Scout treasurer, I have volunteered for my church for Sunday school. I'm involved in the community. As director of adult education, I've implemented policies from the state that I, although might not have agreed with, I've implemented, and I've tried to do it in the best interest of the students that I serve. So I think my experience as an educator and as a community member and my ability to listen to other people's opinions and take something from them and then reformulate my opinion would serve me as a Board of Ed member.
Thank you. Let me just reread the question because it's a long one. You have 90 seconds. Erica will go to you, but the question is, what experiences do you have? What experiences do you have that have prepared you to become a Board of Ed trustee, including work within our community and also including collaborative work that might help you in a situation where you may need to support a policy with which you personally do not agree?
I have a lot of experience in the community. I've been on the PTA probably, my son's been in school for 11 years. So I've been on the PTA for 11 years, but I was also a Boy Scout leader. I was Boy Scout treasurer. I've run a ton of different events for the kids and students of the district. I knew I was going to this and just forget all the different things I've done. But when it comes to a policy that had to be put in place that I didn't necessarily agree with, I would say it's most important when you don't agree with something or you don't fully understand, you ask enough questions that you can, I think it's hard for people to understand that sometimes you're going to get an answer that you're not going to agree with or like. And I feel like I listen very well. And I take in all different opinions, all different ideas and facts, and I listen to different people. I feel like I can help. I can accept when something is not necessarily what I agree with, and I can implement it and support it to the best of my ability for what's best for the community.
Thank you. Lisa, same question.
I have been an active member of our community for, like I said, for a few years now, 16 about. And part of that involvement has been the PTAs. It's also been Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. And I'm currently the coordinator of a youth employment program that's being run that is helping connect young people with jobs and work opportunities in our community. And I think that those experiences, particularly my PTA experiences, really helped me when I first joined the board to understand the importance of working together with other people and to be able to see something that you've thought of come to fruition and understand the way in which you need to work collaboratively with other people. When there have been decisions that I might not have understood or might not have necessarily agreed with, like Erica said, you need to go back and clarify it, get additional information, try to understand where it's coming from. But as a trustee, you have to throw your support behind what the majority of the board agrees to do. And that is something that is very important for us to all be able to do, is to be able to throw our support and work with that decision, whatever it might be.
Thank you. Bill, 90 seconds.
With 12 years' experience on the Board of Ed, along with 7 years' experience on a national accounting organization, I've had the opportunity to work collaboratively with both of those groups. And it seems to not be uncommon in tough decisions that there are going to be disagreements of opinion. And I find the best way to deal with that is, one, to ask questions of my fellow colleagues and see if I can understand their position, that maybe I'm missing something. And then after I feel like I've understood their position, I try to re-explain my position, and sometimes I'm able to win people over to a common ground or a modified position, because quite often that give and take results in a better solution from what was originally being proposed or what I was thinking. I've also been engaged in the community before the Board of Ed as a town soccer coach. So I've been doing volunteer work for a number of years now.
Thank you. And finally, the first question, Jeremy, would you like me to read the question?
If you would be so kind.
Yeah, absolutely.
What experience do you have that prepared you to become a Board of Ed trustee, including work within our community and also including collaborative work that might help you in a situation where you may not need to support, we may need to support a policy with which you personally do not agree?
I'm a small business owner. I have an organization that manages waste and recycle services throughout the United States with a roster on my team that has employees who reside in multiple states. And each state has different sets of rules and regulations. And while I don't always agree with all of them, I am obligated to follow those rules and make sure that my company is in compliance. Each of my clients has different assets on a national level with a multitude of different individual rules and regulations, and we have to make certain that we are fulfilling our obligation to them and maintaining compliance with all of their waste recycle programs, in addition to their corporate interests with respect to different goals such as ESG and diversion, as well as budgetary compliance. In terms of the types of volunteer activity that I think would be commensurate to my, that would be a benefit to my joining this board if I was so fortunate to be elected. I have been a youth football coach at the town of Cortland prior to having children for 6 or 7 seasons. We do a lot of work with DFS and CPS to support children. And my organization does a tremendous amount of volunteer work in supporting environmental programs. We're running a program now to implement a tree planting program throughout the Appalachian Mountains. In terms of implementing a plan that I don't agree with, I would say that we are right to talk about the Princeton plan that's forthcoming. Anyone who knows me knows that my initial reaction was that I was not supportive of the Princeton plan.
Okay, well,
But as a
then,
board member, I will support the community and a successful implementation in September.
We'll have to do that. Thank you. That's the first question.
Second question, Eric,
We'll start with you. What do you bring to the board table to enhance a diversity of stakeholder viewpoints?
What do I bring to the board? I know a lot of community members across all different levels, and I love to connect with people and talk to people. I'm always willing to listen to different ideas that people have, coming to common ground, no matter what, whether I agree with you or not. I always think there's common ground that can be found. As a PTA president, I've run many meetings. They're not all of our meetings are people agree, but at the end of the day, it's always up to our membership, which is usually a very diverse group of people. So in that, I think that's where I bring it to the table. I think I listen, and I'm a leader, and I can really hear different people's points of view, no matter what their backgrounds are. And I'm always willing to learn from them.
Thank you. Lisa, what do you bring to the board table to enhance a diversity of stakeholder viewpoints?
I bring the background that I have, I think, with my family, having children who've gone through the school district. And I have a variety of experience just within the district as a parent. Also relationships with other people who can help expand my viewpoints. It's very important to me to also be able to connect to people who are different than me and who can add something new to the conversation. I believe it's important to learn from each other and to listen. And by doing that, we can create something that's stronger and better than what we would otherwise. Particularly, I guess, my involvement with these various regional and statewide organizations has really helped me to be able to see that just because something is the way it is in our school district doesn't mean it's necessarily the same way somewhere else. And so that's helped diversify my understanding of schools specifically. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Some questions?
I believe that diversity amongst the board members themselves is incredibly important. And I found out throughout the years of being on the board that hypothetically, if we were all accountants, that would be a very narrow focus board of ed. But having someone who is strong in accounting and finances brings diversity in and of itself when it's not a talent that everybody has to the table. So I think that's an invaluable asset to our community in a diversity within the board itself. And I think when dealing with my clients throughout the year, gives me the ability to stay in touch with what people in the community are saying. I had a client just call me a couple of days ago to ask me what's going on with this current election. And it's a good way to get be a sounding board from the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy?
Would you repeat the question
Sure.
for me, please?
Sure. What do you bring to the board table to enhance a diversity of stakeholder viewpoints?
This is home. I grew up here. I was born in Croton, and when I was 7 years old, my parents moved to Montrose. This district is incredibly diverse. And while the appearance of the people may not have been incredibly diverse when I was a young man, this was an incredibly diverse socioeconomic community, and it has been for as long as I can remember. I am very well connected to this community, both those who have been here for a long time, as well as those people who have recently moved. While my children are in elementary school, I've had a chance to meet many new members. I've also been involved in many local organizations that have given me access and the ability to understand the needs of the people that live here. This is home. My parents still live here. My sister lives here. My friends, my family. This is home, and I understand what people are looking for. I find that people call me today to ask lots of questions, to learn what's happening in the community. My business is located here, and I am a very good barometer for the different wants and needs of the entire socioeconomic variation of our entire community.
Thank you. Stephanie, same question.
I became an educator because I care about kids. And sometimes they're the voices that we don't listen to. As a teacher, I know that teachers need a safe space so they feel safe, so their voices are heard. I live in a neighborhood where nobody has kids. They're all seniors. I know that they don't even know what's going on in this community. We need to reach out to them. And the last thing I want to leave with is the loudest voice doesn't necessarily have to be the only voice. I want to reach out to the people that we haven't heard from.
Okay, thank you. That is that question. The next question will start with you, Erica. Are you current- I'm sorry, Lisa. Yeah, I'm sorry. My notes are correct. What came out wasn't correct. Okay, Lisa, we'll start with you. Are you currently participating in the district strategic planning process? If yes, why? If no, why not?
Yes, I am participating in the district strategic planning process, and I'm very excited to be part of it. I think that the potential and the opportunity we have with the strategic plan is just immense. We're going to be able to have the opportunity to really focus and create a direction for our district through the strategic plan. And the way that we're going about it is, listening to the voices of teachers, of students, of staff, of, the community members who don't have kids in the district. I think and the directions and the angles, the pillars we're talking about on this are really, really key to helping our district to come together and to be able to move forward for the future for our children. I think it's a very important project that we're involved with right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results of it. I'm involved specifically on the real world experiences pillar. So we're trying to bring real world experiences to our kids and incorporate that into our everyday school activities, finding ways to give the kids opportunities for internships, to talk to people who are in various fields, to do more project-based learning, to work on, an alumni database is another dream that we have, to be able to see, what our alumni have gone on to do, and then be able to create those connections with people to use for the betterment of our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, are you currently participating in the district strategic planning process? If yes, why? If no, why not?
My participation in the strategic plan is very minimal at this point. Originally, being on the board, we were told we were supposed to be gathering information from the community and that it would be presented to the Board of Ed, and that we should not be trying to guide the process when it's supposed to be coming from the community itself. More recently, we've been invited to participate in some fashion. But I was more involved in the budget side of getting things following our district, and my own personal busy season as a tax accountant the last couple of months has not afforded me the opportunity to participate as much as I may have wanted to. It's an important process, but also on the board quite often we separate and determine who's going to address which issues. Like, we're all on different committees. We can't be all on the same committees. And likewise, with the Princeton plan, we have different people focusing on that, while other people are working on other areas.
Thank you. John?
I am not participating, and I had originally signed up, was participated or attended the initial meetings, and had personal and professional scheduling conflicts. They disallowed continuity, and at some point it was a matter of getting so far behind the eight ball, it wasn't appropriate to just not be able to attend on any sort of a regular basis.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I started and then I stopped, and I'm gonna be honest, it didn't feel authentic. It kind of felt rehearsed and orchestrated. And I've put my time into a lot of committees and meetings, and it didn't feel like that was where I was needed. I felt my time was better spent attending the board meetings. So I stopped participating, and I still attend the board meetings.
All right, thank you. And Erica, same question.
I am on the strategic planning committee. I have been since the beginning. I probably was one of the first people to sign up because I actually got really excited about it because I've been asking about it prior to this for several years, actually. I think the Board of Ed knows that, the trustees now know that I've been asking. I think it is very important work. I do agree in the beginning it was a little bit, seemed a little unauthentic, but we've gotten to a point now where we are working on these 4 pillar groups that really could change and shift things within Hendrick Hudson. And I am very excited that if I do get on the board, I will help to implement those things and see them through. I'm working on the clear and targeted communication pillar, and we have an amazing group of parents and students and community members that we're working with on this. And we've really tried to get as much community input as possible. And I think it's going to be, I think it really could be a game changer for us. And I hope that I am right and that all this work does become that. So, and we're thinking about things, what's best practice to communicate with the community? How do you reach more community members? You know, is our website, you know, is it good enough? Is it what we need? And we're really working through a lot of those different things. You know, how does DEI fit into our communication and our work? There's so much to it. I am involved and I'm actually really excited about it.
Thank you. We'll move to our next question. Unless there are any rebuttals. Next question, Bill, you're up first. What do you see as the most important issue facing our school district and how would you address it? 90 seconds.
I see unfunded mandates as one of the largest obstacles facing school districts nowadays. It's been an issue for, although I've been on the Board of Ed for 12 years, it spans over a 16-year period, and it seems like this issue has been an ongoing issue where New York State or the federal government mandate that school districts have to do something, but don't necessarily give us the aid and the funding to do so. A recent example was New York State proposal. I don't remember if it passed or not, but proposing that all school districts move to electric buses by a certain time frame. Electric buses sound great in theory, but they cost 2 to 3 times the amount of a traditional gasoline bus. And in terrain like we have in Hendrick Hudson, the distance they can go on one charge is, my understanding, is something like 80 miles. So we need to continue to collaborate and work with our school boards associations, our superintendent associations, our business official associations, and with our legislators to make them aware of when these laws sound great, but are not necessarily practical.
Okay, thank you. Jeremy, any question? I'll just read it one more time. What do you see as the most important issue facing our school district and how would you address it? 90 seconds.
I don't know that there's one. I would say finances are an incredibly important part of the challenge that we're facing. The loss of the pilot money from Indian Point is creating a budgetary challenge, and many people that live in our community are fixed income, and people that don't have, most of us don't have, especially as we're facing inflation now, rising gas prices, the opportunity to just fill the gap with increase in property taxes. I think it's going to take a whole bunch of creative thinking and collaboration amongst a group of smart, dedicated people who understand the entire community to come up with ways for us to provide an excellent education. I don't think the answer is slashing and burning and racing to the bottom, but I don't think we can always continue on the same trajectory we were on. But I also think there's a few other issues that are equally important through this process and through my engagement in the community as a whole. I think that we have to work on the morale of our staff. I think that we need to focus on servant leadership from our administration. And I think it's the responsibility of this board to mandate and direct that administration to encourage a relationship amongst the teachers, the custodial staff, and the support staff in our district. I think the other component here, and it all comes together back to the money and the way we're interacting, is community engagement. I think that we have an obligation as a district to engage our community, to have respectful communication, to encourage thoughtful response, and allow people to share their perspectives and opinions while also giving them a level of comfort that they're heard and not just simply saying, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Stephanie, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What do you see as the most important issue facing our school district and how would you address it?
The biggest issue, well, actually not the biggest issue. We all know that finances is an issue and it's looming over our head like a dark cloud. But I started attending Board of Ed meetings because of my son's learning loss and the mental health issues caused by the pandemic. It's going on for 2.5 years and no one's acting like it's a traumatic event and these kids aren't impacted by it. Teacher burnout, staff burnout. There's a crisis going on. We have to address it. The federal government gave us money to address it. What are we using that money for? And lastly, we have to reconcile the differences we have in this community. We have to come together and come on some common ground, so we help the kids. That's it.
Thank you. Sure.
Okay, you guys all gave great answers, so. And it also leads me to we have a lot of important issues, and in our district. I'm gonna start with, I think that we need to really focus on continuing our path to being fiscally responsible to our taxpayers, because we have this large deficit that we have worked very hard on making smaller, and been able to retain a lot of our programs. I think what we really need to focus on as our kids, and kids do best when they're given an engaging learning environment. And that goes from, pre-K, kindergarten, all the way through senior year. They need dynamic, new, exciting, fun ways to learn. And it's our responsibility to make sure that they have that. So I really want to continue to see programs continue. Even though it's going to be hard, decisions are going to be hard to make, and student interest has got to be, we need to do an audit, and we need to talk to our students about what they really like and what they really don't like, what works for them, what doesn't, even to the youngest kids. I think that is, for me, that is probably the most important thing.
All right, and Lisa.
I believe the most important issue facing our district is funding. And like other people have said, it's not unique necessarily to Hendrick Hudson. It's something that school districts across the country are facing. But we have some unique issues here at Hendrick Hudson, specifically with the loss of the Indian Point, payment in lieu of taxes, and the steep decrease in that funding. And then the unfunded mandates are also really big, because when we have to pay for things like a school bus that costs $300,000 instead of $100,000 because it's electric, that's an issue. That's quite a bit of salary or quite a bit of programming we could do with that extra $200,000. One of the ways that I would address it, or that I have been trying to address it, is working through Westchester Public School Boards Association, also NISBA, the New York State School Boards Association, to find common ground with other school districts and to create the opportunity to work with our elected officials, as well as the state education department, to help them understand the repercussions of some of these things that they're suggesting, and to also suggest ways that things can be made better for our school districts. And that has been quite successful, actually. There was, with this electric school bus things, we were able to work into that law that did pass some additional funding sources for that, and some help with the technical writing of the grants for that.
All right, thank you. So that ends that question. So that series of questions in general
General nature, we're not going to move to
set of questions about community relations. And Jeremy,
you go first, answers,
it's a long question, so it's the
two long sentences.
what kind of interaction do you think the Board of Education should have with the community? And what would you do to engage the trustees better with their constituents?
For example,
Would you support the review? Would you support the review the policies self-imposed by the board on itself and amendments?
That was a long question.
Now, see, I'm not from the community, so I don't know the issues. I don't understand.
I'm gonna do my best here. All right, bear with me, but I think that we could all probably get a good idea where this was coming from. Can I start now?
Yes.
Let's say that didn't start. So can you repeat that question again? No. Actually, you know what? Will you repeat that question again for me?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, but I think the second part is a little convoluted, but here we go. What kind of interaction do you think the Board of Education should have with the community? And what will you do to engage the trustees better with their constituents? For example, would you support the review the policies self-imposed by the board on itself and amendments needed?
So I was fairly disheartened as a attendee of the Board of Ed meetings, and I am unimpressed with the manner in which we communicate with our constituents. I think that public comment should be in the beginning of a meeting, not at the end. I think that after people sit at a board meeting for 2 hours and sign up for a list, that it's appalling that we would allow the first 5 people to speak and then the board decides if they're going to allow someone else to continue conversation after they sat and waited their turn and listened to the rest of the conversation respectfully. I would most certainly encourage a conversation with the community to take place at the beginning of the meeting, not at the end. And I would also encourage our board to suggest to the administrators that when someone is speaking at a board meeting, they turn and face them. They don't remain with their back to the community. I think it's disrespectful, and I don't think that any of us as any of them as educators would encourage their students to treat them the way that many of our administrators treat the community. One of the biggest challenges this community faces is communication. And I think there is an absolute disconnect between the administration and the community and with the Board of Education and the community. Things changed in 2018. I understand that we started adopting a policy that the board meetings take place in the public, not with the public. 2018 has come and gone, and it is time for us to heal, move forward, and welcome the community at the Board of Education meetings.
All right, right on time. Okay. So Stephanie, I'll read it again. What kind of interaction do you think the Board of Education should have with the community? And what will you do to engage the trustees with their, engage the trustees better with their constituents? Would you support review of the policies self-imposed by the board on itself and amendments needed?
I think the Board of Ed should take every opportunity to visit the school buildings, to see what's going on, talk to the principals, talk to the teachers, talk to the kids, and talk to the parents. I think that's how you really get a sense of how the community members feel. Open meeting laws, from attending the meetings, that's where I decided to run. The public comment should be at the beginning. Making people wait 3 hours to speak for 3 minutes, it's not right. 70% of communication is nonverbal. So having your backs, looking down, texting, it's just disrespectful. And I think why I actually ran, the meeting I was at that made me decide I'm running for Board of Ed was when an elderly gentleman waited 3 hours to get up and talk. And it took him some time to collect his thoughts. And the card came up and he was told to sit down. In that man, I saw my father. It was not right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Erica, one more time.
Please, yeah.
What kind of interaction do you think the Board of Education should have with the community? And what will you do to engage the trustees better with their constituents? What will you do to engage the trustees better with their constituents? Will you support review of the policies self-imposed by the board on itself and amendment needed?
I'm going to start with, yes, I think that I've been here for a long time. I've gone to many, many board meetings. So I know how it used to be. I know how it is now. I think there are areas of improvement that we can handle at the board meeting. I'm not saying that we have to have an open forum where everyone gets up and just gets to say whatever they want. But if somebody's at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, I think we need to review that. I think we need to review when that happens, the time that happens, and honestly, sometimes the response. And I know that's very difficult, being the person sitting there. I'm sitting here right now and it's difficult. But there is a way to make people feel like you're listening and you're hearing them. And I think that things have gotten very tense and hard here, and we've kind of moved away from that. And I would like to see more of that. Now, as far as interaction goes, it's going to be almost impossible to get me to stop interacting with all of you in a professional capacity in this position. So I might not say as much as I do now, but I will always be listening. And I think that we really just need to move forward and have the community be more engaged and involved, community forums, meet and greets. I'm willing to give my time to do that in any way that I possibly can.
Thank you. Lisa?
I think that the community forums we recently held were really well received and were a very good example of how the board can interact with the community. And I would like to see those happen more and more frequently. Part of the nice thing that happened with those was by asking people to sign up ahead of time, it made it more useful for both the trustees as well as for the people, because then we knew that we had a group of people who wanted to meet with us and were willing to talk with us at that time. And rather than having a meeting with nobody attending, which has happened in the past. So I would like to encourage seeing that happen. You know, we're willing to, I'd love to listen and hear what people have, other suggestions as to how to better engage with the community and other ways that you'd like us to listen to you. The review of the policies, certainly willing to consider it. We have imposed those policies after a great deal of reflection and guidance from the New York State School Boards Association as well as WestPod. There have been issues and problems in districts where those specific policies are not followed and not kept, where you can have a meeting that completely goes off the rails. And the meetings of the board are meetings in the public, and the public has the opportunity to comment. And if those comments are had earlier on, then they don't have the opportunity to hear the presentations.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
I agree a lot with what Lisa has stated. Obviously, we work side by side on the board. The board is always looking for better ways to communicate. And these recent forums, I think, were a phenomenal way to get back into doing so. In the past, we used to have meet and greets in the public, frequently at Dunkin' Donuts. And I think I look forward to more of that type of stuff, but one of the things Lisa brought up, and I agree with, having people sign up ahead of time had a commitment piece to it, because sometimes we would select several Saturdays or Thursday night for the board members to be at Dunkin' Donuts, and we'd have one or no people show up. Now, right now, I think we have more desire for the community to have interaction. So I think these types of meetings would be more useful now and better attended. And now that we're leveling out with the pandemic, I think we should continue those on a more regular basis. As far as the meeting, we need structure during the meeting itself, but always open to considering enhancements. So we need to have, it's a business meeting of the board.
Thank you. Well, yes, Stephanie, 30 seconds.
I just wanted to comment that if you did do public comment at the beginning of the meeting, that the audience was free to go and watch it live from home or watch the recording. I mean, getting a babysitter to sit there for 3 hours, it's a lot. And I would also like public comment to be from home. Why can't we Zoom them and have people Zoom in their questions? So you could be cooking dinner, so you could be more involved. Cleaning your house. Well, I'll clean that up.
Okay. Any other rebuttals?
How many questions are left?
Well, we've got another 20, 30 minutes, so. We'll get it
So is
to as
that
many as we can.
one question each and then a closing statement if there's no 2 questions left?
Well, we've gone probably 30 minutes of questions and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions through. So probably another 5 more questions.
Great, thank you.
I'll take that as a no rebuttal. Okay. Any other rebuttals? Okay, good. Next question, again, category of community relations. This one is shorter. Stephanie, I think we'll start with you. How will you address the negative public perception of the board shared by many within the community?
You have to get out there and talk to everybody. You have to reverse it. And the only way to reverse it is to attend school events and talk to people. Off the record, not at meetings where people are going to talk to you like you're a human being, not in your role as board member. I mean, I did that at one event with my son recently. I worked the gym and I got a lot of different points of views and I got a lot of different feedback. I did it at a soccer game this weekend. I got another different point of view that I didn't really think of. You know, it made me reflect, and board members can bring that back to the table and talk about it. I know you can't talk about board of ed business, but you can listen. That's how.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question,
Sure.
please?
How will you address the negative public perception of the board shared by many within the community?
I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that I'm running. I really would like to get a different feel. I really think that we just need to be more positive, and we just need to get out there. I think, you know, I think we have current board of trustees that are out in the public and at events and things. I think we can do more of that. And I think, you know, I don't know yet because I haven't been fully trained in this, but I really think that there is more opportunities for the board to speak to the staff members. And go into the buildings and see what's actually going on in the building. I'm not saying that I don't know that they have or they have not. I have not asked that question. I'm just saying from my perspective, I would like to do that because I think to get a real understanding of what things look like and how people communicate and how everyone gets along and, you know, the morale of the students and the staff, you really just have to get out there and be there. And if that's a sporting event or just, you know, dropping into the office, whatever that looks like, I think that's how we really reverse this. And I think we have to have a agreement amongst all of us to just do a little bit more of that. And I think it will go a really long way.
Thank you. Lisa?
I think that to address that public perception, we've got to do better with communicating. And we need to do better at listening. And we need to do better at providing opportunities for people to speak with us. And I think that will go a very long way in helping us to move forward with all of these issues. You know, it is difficult as a trustee to be putting yourself out there and to be just working so hard for things. And then a lot of times it doesn't get seen. And I think just, you know, trying to understand each other more will really help.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Bill?
Yes, I mean, the theme here is definitely communication and communication both ways. I think we need to continue with these meetings with the community that we were just talking about in the previous question. Those are very important, but I would encourage the community, and maybe we need to blatantly say that our board meetings is come up to us after a board meeting and say hello. A couple of board meetings ago, I spoke to about 10 community members after the board meeting. We were outside in the cold, I might add, for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And then I spent another hour speaking to another individual, Mr. Jeremy. So that was a very good 2 hours spent talking to people. But like Lisa said, you know, it's kind of hard to throw yourself out there as a trustee into a group of 10 people who potentially have some thoughts that they may not agree with you, and to ask for their opinion and discuss with them why they feel that way and what their views are. But that is I found it very valuable. And I think the people who talked to, and Lisa was in that first group, I think Lisa and I and the people we spoke to thought it was a very valuable conversation. So I would encourage the community members to help out also by reaching out to us, to talk to us civilly. Thank you.
John?
Can you repeat it?
Sure, no problem. It's easy.
I'm sorry to keep asking you that, but,
No, it's all for the audience as well.
and then there's a lot of break in between.
Yeah, that's fine. No apologies.
Thank you.
How will you address the negative public perception of the board shared by many within the community?
So this is one of the main reasons that I've decided to run. I've said it multiple times, I'll say it again. This is my community. I live here, I breathe here, I grew up here, I work here, I eat here, I buy lunch here on a daily basis. This is home, this is where I work. I can share that many of the members of the community who I know, people who are no longer connected to the school system, but are very active members in the community, are not connected to this board. Many people don't know who the board members are that serve this community. And it seems that the perception may be that many of the board members are here because they have children in the district, but they're not active and involved members of the greater Hendrick Hudson School District community. My intent is to live my life the way that I live it today as a servant leader and someone who is actively involved in the community with all different facets of our community. I am not in a bubble that only communicates or interacts with a small component of this community or the school district. I have a very large network here, and I think that will create a very welcome and open opportunity. I think we saw last year during the election process two very deeply entrenched members of the community be voted in. And I think that was a very clear indication that the community wants people who represent them, not a very small segment of the population. And I am that person.
All right, thank you. That ends that line of questioning. I think we've got one more in the community relations category. And Erica, I need that first.
Yep.
What will you do to address the upcoming shift to the Princeton plan?
What was it?
What will you do to address the upcoming shift to the Princeton plan?
I'm gonna support it. I mean, I don't gonna support implementation. It's kind of a funny question, actually. I'm not really sure I actually
I
understand.
mean,
that one.
including sharing information with families. How do you think the Board of Ed can help with our community? How can the Board of Education help bring our community together again?
Okay. I think there's a lot of work to be done here. I think a lot of the work in regards to the Princeton plan is not going to be the board's work. The board's work is going to be holding the people that are implementing it accountable. And I really do believe that our staff members are going to be, they can handle this. Teachers can handle this, whatever's been thrown at them, whatever, they always rise to the occasion. But I think we do need to establish some metrics and a timeline of implementation to make sure that this is going as smoothly as possible, that the kids are meeting or exceeding their benchmarks as expected, that we are really doing what we've set out to do here, which is save money and bring the kids together. And if that is not working, we need to revisit it. But I don't know if that's up to the board necessarily to do. I think it's more up to the administration to do, and for us to hold them accountable in doing it properly and well. And I think we have to figure out a way to communicate with the elementary school parents. They can't receive 3 different emails, right, from 3 different principals. We need to figure out how that's going to work best for them and make sure that we're all on the same page and what works best for the kids and the parents. And we have to safety, transportation and safety of kids is like the most, to me, one of the most important things. We have to make that a priority. And again, implementation, and then we hold them accountable.
Okay. I'm going to read it again. We tried to edit on the fly, but I'll just give you full context.
Okay.
What will you do to address the upcoming shift to the Princeton plan, including the sharing of information with families? And how do you think the Board of Education can help bring our community together?
With the upcoming shift to the Princeton plan, again, it comes back to communications, and we're going to have to do a really good job of communicating and better than we've been doing. I know the principals are currently having their forums with the elementary school parents. I'm looking forward to hearing how those are going, and I think that those will go a long way in helping us to find out what the concerns are with the shift to this Princeton plan and the ways that we can help make it go more smoothly. As a Board of Ed trustee, again, as Erica, you're correct, that it's, our responsibility is more to oversee the process and to hold administration accountable. We will be looking closely at it to make sure that there are metrics devised that we can use to analyze how the process is happening, and then be able to readjust if needed as things happen. We may have to redo parts of it or relook at things as we find out that something is in need of work. Definitely sharing information with families is key to all of this, and the communications between families and the school district has got to be clear. And I think that as we do that, move to the Princeton plan, it has great potential to help bring our district together. It's been very difficult for the children who transition from elementary school to middle school to make that change when they're suddenly thrown into a group with people that they've never been with before.
Okay, thank you. Bill?
I think the key to smooth transition is, like other people have said now already, is communication. And the board's part in that is to listen and watch what's going on and see if it's happening in the best way it can happen. Not everything is going to work. This is a major change. I don't expect everything to be perfect on the first shot. It's a fluid situation. As things pop up, as challenges pop up, they need to be addressed. And we as board members need to make sure that the issues are brought up to the administration, they're aware of it, and that they're taking care of it. But when you're making a change that's this big, there's always going to be some bumps in the road, and in the long run, it'll all work out. But the idea is communication from the community to the district so that as those bumps happen, they can be corrected and adjusted and fixed.
I'll read it since it's been a while. Sound good?
I like your style.
What will you do to address the upcoming shift to the Princeton plan, including the sharing of information with families?
And how do you think the Board of Education can help bring our community together again?
The short answer is I will support this administration in a successful implementation of the Princeton plan in September. I am very grateful that the majority of the board voted last year to not implement the Princeton plan, as several of the current board members had chosen to do for September of 2021. As stated, this is a heavy, heavy lift. As a parent of 2 elementary school children, the communication hasn't been wonderful. There has been a big, heavy lift here, and many of the requests, and I have seen several board members ask for timelines that we keep being told will be forthcoming. I think it's time for the administration to create a clear timeline that is rooted with benchmarking so that we are able to determine where we are when we get there. If you were to implement a program, a new accounting system for a company, you would create a timeline before implementation. And I would like to see these roadmaps have a little more definitive time period so that we're able as a community to determine if we are in fact on track. I would also like to see better communication from a central standpoint rather than deflecting to have parents talk to the building principals, because it creates an unnecessary multitude of asks when you have multiple children who are going to have multiple principals. I think it also puts an undue burden on our principals while they have an existing responsibility to the buildings that they manage today, and then manage new parents that they're not currently responsible for, with a building full of parents and students that they need to manage with today's educational challenges.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie?
I think the Board of Ed has to hold the administration accountable for this change. And in doing that, I think there's opportunities along the way for feedback. Right now, the teachers are packing up their classrooms. Are we asking them for feedback on how this transition is going to occur? What's happening this year? Are we asking the staff and the parents for feedback? We have an opportunity to ask 4th and 5th grader for real life feedback next year. We can ask 4th and 5th graders, how was the Princeton plan compared to what you experienced in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade? Those 4th and 5th graders, aren't they the ones we're here to serve the kids? They're the ones who can tell us if it's been successful. I mean, I've asked for metrics on how we're going to see if this is successful. Are we going to use test scores? I doubt we're going to use test scores. So I really would like to see feedback at every step of the way for the implementation of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any rebuttal on that question? Okay. Now, this is a finance and budget question. Lisa, starts with you. What are your thoughts on the current and the proposed budget for the school district? Are there areas that you feel should be cut, and what areas do you feel should be protected?
Could you repeat that again, please?
Sure. What are your thoughts on the current and the proposed budget for the school district? Are there areas that you feel should be cut, and what areas do you feel should be protected?
I think that the budget we have proposed, with a 3.2% tax levy is quite good. I know that, any increase is always hard, but I think we've worked really diligently to try to make it so that the increase is as low as it can be in light of the loss of funding that we're experiencing with the pilot. I think that the current budget also, the proposed budget also addresses the importance of maintaining and supporting our teachers and staff and our programs that we have, and enhancing and keeping our school district to be one that is well regarded in the state of New York and in our region. As far as cuts go, areas to cut, cuts are really difficult, and we don't want to have to cut. But I know that is a decision that's going to have to be made, and I think that what I use when I'm looking at areas to cut is things that would impact students the least and impact the educational experience the least. And then that's sort of the thing that I would not want to cut. That would be my last thing to cut. And earlier things to cut would be more the operational matters.
Thank you. Bill?
Being a very active member of the finance committee, if there was anything I felt strongly about cutting, I would have stated so already. So I support the current budget and the proposed budget as is. Since I'm one of the guiders of that budget, I'm in full support of it. I think the district and the board has done a phenomenal job on protecting, keeping our budget within reasonable increases over the past few years and the upcoming years, because we're doing long-range projections. With the loss of the money from Entergy pulling out, we're losing close to a third of our budget. Now, with the way we are planning and getting some stimulus we're trying to transition, so it's in small steps, and our goal has been to keep the annual increases under 4% per year. And we've been able to successfully do that so far, and our long-range projections show that we should be able to continue to do that. Obviously, we've made some cuts already, but at this point, we need to make sure our programs are as good as can be and support them. So hopefully the cutting is done, but we
Okay.
still need to watch it closely.
Thank you. Jeremy?
I would like to see less reliance and utilization of consultants as our first set of steps, so that we can make financial progress from a reduction of expense. And I would like to see us protecting all of the academic opportunities that the district provides. And in fact, maybe we could start to shift some of the consultant expenditures to academic opportunity for kids, protecting extracurricular activities, sports, music, trips, and enrichment opportunity. I think that we need to make sure that we're not making the jobs of our administration easier by bringing in consultants. I would like a complete and total review of the consultants we've paid for, the manner in which we've utilized the work provided by said consultants, and the continued reliance on consultants on a go-forward basis.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I'm going to piggyback on what Jeremy said. When we talk about consultants, in my district, Bowline Power Plant closed. And that's the first thing that we did. We didn't stop learning as a staff and teachers. We tapped the staff that we had. We did workshops from within. We took our teacher hat off and put another teacher hat on. So all of these consultants and these studies that I've actually foiled requested that have been sitting on a shelf that the community has paid for. Enough is enough. And when we do go to cut, it shouldn't just be the Board of Ed cutting things. We need to see what the community is willing to cut. We need to audit the programs. We need to see what the students are still interested in and what programs they're no longer interested in. So I really think when it comes to cuts, and no one wants to cut, you have to ask the community their input.
Okay, thank you. Erica?
This is one of the areas that I'm really looking forward to learning more about, and the process and how things come about. You can look at a budget. I mean, I manage budgets. I've managed Boy Scout budgets and my own business budgets and PTA budgets. This is a lot different. We all know that, right? So I'm not going to come and say, oh, I know all about this. This is where I have the most to learn, I think. Well, I'm actually really looking forward to it because I think that, I mean, no one likes cuts, but I think Stephanie's absolutely right. We really have to reach the community and see, even beyond the people that are in the buildings. What is working, what's not working? What do we want to see more of? What do we want to see less of? And I think the students are going to be a huge part of that. Honestly, where we have to invest more of our money. I think that we should pull the teachers on professional development that they actually would like. And honestly, there's been programs now we've had for several years of we're spending money on professional development. How do the teachers feel about that? And do we see the children improving? Are the students improving? Like we've piloted a program when my son was in the 5th grade, he's now in 11th grade. Has there been a growth? What are they gaining from it? That's where I would like to cut. Protect as many programs as possible for kids with student interest in mind, especially at the middle school and high school level. We have a lot of mandates we have to meet, and I think we need to continue to exceed those. I would protect that.
Okay. So that ends that question. Any rebuttal on anything that was said? That's usually the case, not a lot of rebuttals, so. Right, we have a couple questions on academics and programming, and then we'll move to the open question that I mentioned earlier, where we can address something that hasn't been covered tonight, and then we'll do closing arguments, all right? So I am going to combine this into one question. So how can you improve this starts with Bill, actually. How can you improve student achievement at all levels and ensure that all our graduates are college ready? Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So how can you improve student achievement at all levels and ensure that all graduates are college ready?
Well, ironically, I think one of the best things we could possibly do for our students to get them there is start in the beginning. And what the board has just recently approved is the kindergarten pre-K program. And I think that'll have a significant impact on our students throughout their K through 12 years, which I think is probably a good return on our investment for our students to perform so much better. And if they start off stronger if they start with the pre-K instruction and then go into kindergarten stronger, that is going to make them a stronger student for the rest of their learning career. And I would like to see it expanded. Right now, it's limited to a small number of students, and it's going to be on a lottery. I would like to see, hopefully it works out, and that we can expand it to more students, because I think that is the best way to improve our student performance, is start when they're young.
Thank you. Jeremy, I'll read the question since I boxed it a little bit. What are your thoughts on the district's, how can we improve student achievement at all levels and ensure that all our graduates are college ready?
I am not an academic professional. The only way that I think you could I think first, we need to recognize that not every student is going to go to college. I think we need to support all of the learners that are in our district, the ones that are interested in trade school, the ones that are interested in military service, the ones that are interested in going to college. It's incredibly important. Not everybody fits in a box. We need to understand how to teach the student. We don't need to teach a program. That is first and foremost. I am not an academic professional. We have an incredibly talented group of professionals in this district that have dedicated their lives to teaching and learning. We have an incredibly talented pool of residents that live in this community who would love nothing more than to share their wisdom, knowledge, insight, and experience with the people of this district to positively impact the educational development of our students. We need to tap all of these resources. To piggyback on my previous question that was asked, or our previous question, I don't think it's about hiring consultants to do all of this work. I think it's about utilizing our existing resources and celebrating the diversity in the district and assisting all of the different learners through this process.
If you asked me this question 3 years ago, I'd probably have a different answer. The pandemic and the loss of learning, and it's not just the loss of learning, and it can't just be my kid, because when I talk about it, people make me think that it's just my kid that's been traumatized by it. I'm sick of, going to administration and hearing that and feeling like maybe I'm the weird person and it's just my kid who's had loss of learning. I'm the only one who has teacher burnout, and I'm the only one whose kid has anxiety that he never had before. But then I'm at the high school. I'm a high school teacher, and I see these high school students. They're traumatized. So you want me to get them college ready? I want them to be productive citizens, and I want them to heal. And I want us to start having conversations about that. Yeah, I also think we need to go back to the basics. My son needs to learn how to write. He needs to learn how to read. But we need to have those conversations about what the pandemic has done to us professionally and to our children mentally. And then we need to pick up the loss of learning. And as we go further down the line, it's the individual child. We need to individualize learning for the child and what they want after high school and prepare them for that.
Thank you, Erica.
I think we need to ensure that our children are college ready. And like Jeremy said, not every person is going to go to college. I think but we think that the goal when they're in elementary school, pre-K, is that we want to make sure that they're learning to the absolute best of their ability, the best of what they're capable of doing. And I think that we do that starting in elementary school. And I am hoping that 34 pre-K students it's nice to reach 34, but if we really want this to impact us in long term, we need to reach more. And we have to figure that out as a community and set that as a goal, I think, long term. But in that, I think we have to make sure we have the right support services for children in elementary school. We need to make sure our class sizes are appropriate. We need to make sure that we're just at the lower levels. Like, are our gifted and talented children getting what they need to thrive and grow? And then in the high school, I think we need to make sure that the kids are appropriately placed in courses that they are interested in and love. And in the middle school, we have to make sure that they're ready for high school. And there's a lot of executive function things these kids are missing, and a lot of social and emotional learning that needs to happen for them because of the pandemic and beyond, that we have to address, make sure that they are ready to be citizens, productive citizens in the world.
Great, thank you. Lisa?
I think that a key to improving student achievement is getting buy-in from the students. If they can see the reason why they're being asked to learn something, or if they can see the application and how they can use this or receive recognition for what they've done, it really makes a difference in how they learn and in their buy-in to learning as well. So I think this ties back into that real world experiences pillar that I'm working on. And I think by providing opportunities for the kids to see how what they're learning would apply to what is in the real world could make a really big difference in the achievement. If you can have a group of kids who are learning about history through something that's gone on in Peekskill and able to create a project around that experience that they can show to the community, and then the community can see the involvement with that and be recognized for their achievements. I think that is all part of what will really happen. And I also agree with what other people have said, that the college ready isn't necessarily the way that we need a little bit of a shift in our way of thinking. For so long, that push has been for college readiness. But in our world today, that might not necessarily be the path that kids really need to take and that they should be taking. So recognizing that and preparing them with the soft skills that they need to be in the workforce is important.
Okay, thank you. That ends that question. So I have one more question, and then we'll have an open question, and then we can close the statement. Okay, and this will start with Jeremy. What are your thoughts on district programs such as special education and English language learners? And how can we better engage those families?
We have a special education PTA that is very involved in our community. And having grown up here, it seems that the special education department has always been a welcomed component of the district. We have a child who receives services here, and we've been fairly satisfied with the quality of services received. The effort in general has been, in our opinion, outstanding. The individual service providers have always gone above and beyond to connect with and relate to our children. I haven't heard families dissatisfied with the special education services. Sure, I'm going to go on a limb and say that there are experiences that individuals have that they wish had been different, but I don't know of this to be a major problem. And I think it's actually something that as a community we should celebrate and work on in embracing that component. Is there, I think I missed part of your question outside of special education.
Such as special education and
English language learners.
I think English language learners is another very important piece of the public education system. I went to school here. I learned Spanish. It's helped me tremendously in life. And I don't think it's only Spanish speaking that we need to embrace and understand. I think in general, we need to be welcoming of an immigrant population and being tolerant and kind and a community that is open to all sorts of different types of people is really important to teach our kids, whether they speak English or not.
okay, thank you. Stephanie?
I think for special education students, programs need to be more personalized. For your ELL students, I think there should be a bilingual parent advocate that can help Spanish-speaking parents navigate the public school system. And there should be an advocate for pre-K parents. We should be reaching out to the pre-K programs. You know, I might be a high school teacher, but I had no clue of the process of getting my child screened. I knew he had some kind of speech problem, but I didn't know the process. So I reached out to my elementary school friend who was an elementary school teacher, and she explained the process to me. But you know, there's a process with getting a 504 plan, and people, if you don't work in a school, you don't know. That website should clearly state, if you think your child has this issue, click here. This is the referral process. The bilingual advocate for parents that have ELL students is crucial. Thank you.
Thank you. The question is, what are your thoughts on district programs such as special education and English language learners? And how can we better engage those families?
I mean, I think these programs are important, integral pieces of what we are both wanting to do, but also mandated to do. And I think we need to exceed mandates in both of these areas and continue to do that. You know, children that have challenges do need personalized learning. And I think the district has done different things in recent years, and prior to COVID was really working hard on coming up with these different avenues. And then I think some of it may have halted. And I just really think we need to make sure that these kids that really need to be classified, that we are working with their families, we're working with their teachers to make sure that they're where they need to be. I do think the Princeton plan is going to help a little bit with these programs and these kids in the buildings. If it does not, that'll be a big shame. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be asking questions about constantly, because that is the group of people, the group of students that the ELL and the special ed students should be gaining big in this new program. And I think we want to see that. We want to see metrics for that, and we want to make sure that's happening. And I think we do need more bilingual advocates. And we were actually discussing this on our communications pillar within the strategic plan. And, we have a student working with us that has given us a lot of feedback on how this does and does not work for her family. And I was so glad she joined our group, so.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
Our district has really amazing programs with special education and our English language learners. And there are districts around us that send their children to us because of how good our programs are. I think that should be celebrated and recognized. Are they perfect? No, of course not. There's always room for growth, but I think we do need to recognize the amazing work that our special education department is doing. How can we better engage families that are in that have those needs in their families? I think that having more translation, we've made a shift towards translating a lot of our communications into Spanish now. And I'd like to see more of that, as well as making it easier for people who speak other languages, even in Spanish, to be able to access things. I believe that one of the intents of the website, although I don't know if we're doing this yet or not, is to be able to translate the website into different languages with a push of a button, which, yeah, that would be really cool if we can get that to happen. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. And finally, Bill.
I agree with Lisa that our special ed department has gotten a lot of positive publicity, and other districts coming to our district with their students. But like a lot of things, I'm always a believer in, you do a process and you reflect on it and say, okay, how did it go? What can we do better next time? Nothing is ever a concrete, this is how we're going to do it. It should always be continual improvement. That's my belief. And as far as special ed, I think one of the things we can take away from the pandemic, although it was a bad thing, I think of one way that we could take away from that to engage better our special ed parents is to be able to continue to do virtual meetings, because it seems like there's a lot of parents that weren't able to take time off to come in and have a meeting at the district, but are able to take an hour off out of their workday to have a virtual meeting. So I think going forward, we should be giving the community the ability to choose between in-person meetings and virtual meetings. And as far as the English language learners, we're a changing population, and I think the district needs to change with that to provide additional services.
Okay. Thank you for your answers. So we're gonna end with one open question. Stephanie, I'll start with you. And essentially, what topic have we not covered tonight that you would like to address, or what you'd like to expand on?
I think we addressed the fact that communication is poor in the district, but the website is even worse. I can't even find the lunch menu for Frenchie, let alone the curriculum that's supposed to be on there, let alone if I do need to screen my son for speech, what do I even do about that? I even tried looking up a couple teachers' emails, that didn't work. So the website, that's our digital presence. And as a parent, I want to be able to go on there, and I shouldn't have to go to Facebook. I hate social media. to find out that there's a half day and scramble to get my son to have someone to babysit him, so there's someone home. You know, like, there's a problem when Facebook is where I go to get information about the district. Because it's not always factual. So I would really like to see a complete overhaul of the website.
Thank you. Erica, some question, the topic that we
Not addressed tonight, but you would like to cover?
or one that you'd like to expand upon?
I think I want to talk about how we promote our students and our staff, and how we promote that to the community and we get their buy-in. I think everyone that lives here, I mean, we have a very unique community. Hendrick Hudson is probably one of the most unique communities in Westchester County, in that we have so many people that have been here generation after generation, that have chosen to raise their families here, but they've also embraced all of us, right? It's one of the most welcoming communities I've ever known. I've never had anyone refuse a conversation with me. It's really great. But what we're missing in all of that is that we have to promote our students out to the community. Our kids, Penn Hud has some of the most talented kids. And we do a good job on our Facebook page, and we get an email blast that's a lanyard that does that, but it's not reaching everyone it needs to reach. We need to really figure out ways to get our achievements out. It also will help us in the long term with real estate values and everything else that we want to see happen here and want to see us grow. It will all happen if we can promote what we're great at in a better way.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'd like to just talk a little bit more about collaboration and the importance of collaborating with each other. Yeah, I think that the way that things can improve and get better is by working together and listening to each other. And listening respectfully and listening with the intent to be reflective and to consider what's being said. And I think that as we strive to do that and to work together as a community, we'll be able to accomplish just amazing things together. We'll be able to give the recognition to the students that Erica was talking about, and be able to, provide opportunities for them to succeed and to really thrive. And I believe that collaboration is going to be key with our staff, with our teachers, with administration, with everybody working together. We'll be able to do some amazing things.
Thank you, Bill.
I think one issue we haven't discussed or touched on at all tonight is facilities. Our facilities have been, the maintenance of them has been a little behind for a few reasons. School districts typically get a building condition survey approximately every 5 years, and all districts used to be on the same 5-year cycle, which was very problematic. In recent years, they decided to stagger them. So a lot of districts were more than 5 years to have their building condition survey. Then you put on top of that COVID, and it got delayed out even further. So our district hasn't had a building condition survey in a number of years, and we need to have one and focus on where our next projects are. And in addition, the COVID has actually hurt our previous projects that we were working on, because we still can't get certain parts and materials needed to wrap up. Now, keep in mind, it's a small percentage of the projects that aren't wrapped up from the last one, but they're noticeable. And I think the facilities need some attention, which may take the district putting some money into, but we can't let our facilities get in disarray, which could end up costing us more in the long run.
Thank you, John.
I think that my statement here will be based on an elaboration of topics that we've discussed, rather than something that hasn't been covered that I was hoping to touch on. Communication has been a common theme, and it's not just this year, it's not just last year. We're not very good communicators, and I don't think that our community feels really well connected. I think that we have a central organizational structure that needs to embrace the building level leaders as well as the teachers and staff in each of those buildings to better assess and understand the needs and wants of the people that work there and the families that attend school there. We need to utilize all of our resources and not all of that. And when I mean that, I'm talking our human capital. We have great people. When we do a bond for a large project, maybe we should have people that are going to utilize the projects completed, that are going to utilize the fruits of that bond to make sure that the things that they need and want are going to be present. I don't think we should have someone think this is a good enough fulfillment of a project and leave us wanting or needing more. I think an example of that would be what transpired in our auditorium bond and the lack of audiovisual equipment and wiring that was not run the first time it was built.
Okay. So that concludes our Q&A portion. Before we move to closing statements, just want to thank the community for the range of
Questions they submitted.
and thank the candidates for the thoughtful answers. We now
Move to 90-second closing
statements, and we're going to go
reverse order from opening statements. We will start with Bill.
If reelected, I will continue to represent all of our students and all of our community members, not just the minority. We need to be in touch with and listen to and make decisions that are going to be for the benefit of all of our community and students. Please come out and vote on May 17th and re-elect me, Bill Riccio, someone who has school district experience, business experience, to continue to see our students, district, and community to stay the course through our current challenges and the unknown challenges which we will discover together.
Why should you vote for me? I have been deeply involved with my children's education for the past 23 years and have volunteered extensively in the Hendrick Hudson School District for over 14. Supporting public education and making sure all students have what they need to be successful has been an important focus of my life. There is a steep learning curve when you become a trustee, and I hope to continue to use this hard-earned experience to help our district. I have shown over these past 6 years that I am fiscally responsible, keeping tax increases low despite a 30% loss of revenue. I have encouraged and supported educational excellence in our district, and I'm proud of the way we have led in our region with innovative programs. I have worked collaboratively with other trustees locally, regionally, and statewide to advocate for our schools. My record proves that I am a board member who can bring a different perspective to the table, discuss issues in a reflective manner, work for a common goal, and really listen to all the stakeholders in our community to navigate this journey. I do not jump to immediate decisions, but instead take the time to research and understand an issue. You can count on me to advocate with our state and local officials for our district, analyze our costs and how to reduce them, and to find ways to thoughtfully enhance and expand our wonderful programs. A vote for me on May 17th is a vote to support our schools, our community, and our future.
Thank you. Erica, 9 seconds.
I want to thank all of you. You know, to come here tonight, sit here and support us all is huge, and I just really appreciate that. I want to thank my fellow candidates. This is not an easy thing to do, and you know, we give up a lot of our time. I know they've given up a lot of their time. They volunteer and they feel very strongly about this. I feel really strongly about this too. I want to say this, if you have to remember one thing about me and you want to take one thing about me away from tonight, I hope that is you can tell that I am here for the kids. The kids will be first. Every child deserves a safe and secure learning environment with different ways to achieve their own personal greatness. And for each child, that is something a little bit different. And I really think that what I bring to the table is a person that's willing to listen, learn, lead, collaborate with all stakeholders. And I will hold the administration accountable for its failures. And I will praise them when they do great things. And I want to work together to make Hen Hud the best place it can be for all of our stakeholders, And I hope to connect with many of you. I'm willing to talk. Reach out to me anytime. And I hopefully look forward to serving you in the community.
Thank you, Stefan.
I just wanted to say thank you to Bill and Lisa for their service on the board, because at all those meetings, I realized how much work you put in. And Erica is right. It's a lot to put yourself out there. It's kind of a little scary to put yourself out there. And I want to say a vote for me is a vote for open communication and safe communication, so everyone's opinions are heard. That's what I represent. My door will always be open and my ears will always be open. Open mind. Thank you.
John,
I recognize and appreciate that if you choose me to represent our community, there is a lot of work to be done with an incredibly steep learning curve. I am up for and excited to accept the challenge. I'm not an educational or academic expert, but I am dedicated to learning how I can work with other board members to help unite our community and better our school district. Success in business, particularly as a small business owner, requires listening, learning, collaborating, and working as a team to achieve a desired outcome. I am confident if I'm chosen to represent you, we will make our district proud. I am sitting amongst a group of very good, kind, and talented people who are committed to giving their all to make better tomorrows for our children today. You have very capable candidates to choose from on May 17th, and hope that I was able to share with you tonight how my approach to life and business can bring a new perspective to our school district and improve the current relationship the board has with our neighbors. My success in life and business is rooted in my ability to listen to and empathize with others. I'm confident as a board member, I can respectfully represent our community and collaborate with other board members and administrators to improve the work environment for our district employees and the educational experience for our children. If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Thank you. And so our goal tonight was to educate the public on the people that will make policy decisions in the community. And I think we've done that tonight. So thank you all for participating. And with that, I will turn it back over to Janine.
One final thank you on behalf of Power Through Portland and HUD Community Education Foundation for everybody for being here tonight. Thank you to the district for providing us the great recording that is going to be available soon. So we will have the link for the recording and we will post it on Power Through Portland Facebook group. It will also be available on the district website and it will be provided to all of the candidates. They can share as they would like, and to all of our PTAs who can share it with all of their members as well. When you share the recording, please do so in full. The entire recording should be shared by itself. You can't cut and paste. Thank you to our candidates. Tonight was very enlightening. Thank you to everybody who came. Those of you who are watching don't see it. We have a full room here at the library, and it's really wonderful to see so many parents out who are dedicated to our community, and people who might even have kids in the schools who are here to hear about everything that's going on. So once more, thank you all. May 17th, Frank G, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you need an absentee ballot, go on the district webpage and you can get the information there. Question?
Yeah, I have a question. There were 34 questions from 13 people.
Yes.
How many did we cover?
We condensed, combined, like there were like 3 of the same question. There were other questions. So we got through 11 of the ones tonight. And we actually covered a couple, like he even combined some more. So
Okay,
if you,
some questions weren't covered, how do we get to the candidate?
if it was your question, you can email them directly to them. On the table by the door is all their contact information, and we will also share that publicly. So if your question didn't get asked or answered, you can send it to them, and they will be able to answer you.
If anyone has a question, please email me. I put a Facebook on there. But I
Facebook,
haven't
there's
been on
Facebook, some
in 13 years.
websites,
Please email me.
and everybody provided an email address, so you can at the very least email all the candidates.